This is TWiT.
Well, in terms of like added functionality that people might use for kind of more less nefarious purposes, there's actually a really interesting Google patented solution to the problem. Well, not the problem, but the limitation of eSIM. So basically, eSIMs have been really awesome. I've had one in my phone for several years and I love it. But, the eSIMs are basically embedded SIM cards. And there's one kind of big limitation of them. And that's basically based on the original spec is that basically you can only have, despite the fact that you can have many different SIM profiles on a single eSIM, only one can be active at a time. So if you're the kind of person that really loves dual SIM technology, you've had to rely on a phone having either two eSIMs or an eSIM and like a physical SIM or two physical SIM, just any of these kind of double SIM holster type phones. But with a Google patented solution called multiple enabled profiles, maybe very soon coming in Android 13, you could have a phone with a single eSIM be able to have two active SIM profiles at the same time. So you could have your work number and your home number on the same phone. And it's really interesting. This is basically the previous limitation is without going into horrendous technical detail, which Michal from last week went into amazing detail in his article. And if you're really interested, you should go read it. But without going into my half an hour deep dive into how eSIMs work, basically it's just like kind of like a physical connection, but kind of in the same way that virtualization and virtual memory and things like, and kind of concepts like this work on a computer. Google has basically patented this kind of like being able to have virtual SIM profiles in the same eSIM. And apparently there have been numerous patches to AOSP submitted that kind of work with Android's telephony framework that will make room for this. We're not quite sure what it's going to look like yet, and whether this patented technology, which is actually generic enough that it could work not just on, say, a Google phone, but any kind of like Windows, like iOS device, whether this will be something that Google kind of puts out there free or not so free. But if you're the kind of person that loves dual SIM technology but wants the convenience and the kind of technological advancements of having a single eSIM, maybe you will be in luck soon. So it's really interesting, but definitely check out the article if you're super interested in how this works. And I'm actually really surprised. Michelle linked to some articles because I don't often use a dual SIM. Like I generally have my work phone and my personal phone, but apparently a lot of people do, and not just for I know like a lot of us who are like in this space who like to review things, like to swap out SIM cards and try different phones. But maybe like the work home case is kind of like, easy to see. But actually, in a lot of places, people will have two separate SIMs for their voice plan versus their data plan. Because in a lot of places that have a bit more competition, let's say, you can pick a cheaper voice plan and then have the same SIM on your phone, like have a cheaper data plan. So this is actually pretty interesting and hopefully will be a boon to many of y'all out there, what's a cool like cowboy term for like, dual gun six, I don't know, something.
Dual slinging SIM cards.
Like all the SIMs, all the eSIMs.
This is the kind of thing that I knew was out there and I always chalked up to like other countries.
Yeah. Or traveling to a different country, and I want my one SIM and then the SIM for the country that I'm visiting.
Yeah. So
I wonder if this is something that might help actually promote eSIM as a technology that we see more often, because I feel like the phones that we get now, like eSIM has the potential to really kind of change how phones are designed on the inside, right? Like if we all bought into eSIM, that's less complexity that would need to be built into the phone itself. That's less space inside of the hardware that needs to be made for the eSIM. So removing that would free up space for other things or make phones slimmer or whatever the case may be. But yet we're not there. eSIM's been around for a while, and yet phones come out maybe with eSIM compatibility, but then they also have a SIM card slot. And like, I wonder if or when we will get to a point to where eSIM is just kind of the standard, and something like this, support for dual SIM through the eSIM, that seems like a step in the right direction as far as that's concerned. Maybe that'll never happen, but that would be nice.
I have a question. You have the dual SIM thing. Can you do will you have eSIM and regular SIM mixture? Can you do that, or is it just like
you can do
one
that
or
now.
the
You
other?
can do that now. That's
you can do that now. So the thing is with the eSIM is that so every time for every network character for every network carrier, for each one of your say numbers on that carrier, you have to have a SIM profile. And so on an eSIM, you can have already multiple profiles, but you can only have one active because the connection between like the modem that is actually connecting to the network and sending and receiving data, and like the eSIM, there's just like one road. It's basically like a 1-lane highway. And so basically the profiles kind of have to take turns using that highway. So that's why you still need right now dual SIMs. And actually that's one of the solutions to dual SIMs. I don't know offhand any phones that do this, but yeah, you can have an eSIM and a nano SIM, like for example, to kind of get to bypass this. So it is a thing now, but hopefully with MEP, multiple enabled profiles that Google has, you don't need the dual SIM anymore. You wouldn't need like 2 eSIMs, like 2 embedded chips, or you wouldn't need like a slot and an embedded chip. So yes, you can mix and match now. It's kind of actually, it was very interesting to see that, the various ways you can mix and match an eSIM with an actual SIM that are available now. And I can't think of any phones right now that do it, but I suppose maybe in markets where this is a lot more prevalent kind of practice that you probably would see more phones. Let's go to that drop down and kind of go through all the phones and all these different characters
start at the top of the list, and we'll one by one look up their SIM status. And
I just like the term
riveting.
nano SIM. I just want to have as many nano SIMs in my life as possible.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Right on. I'm happy we talked about that story. Thank you. Your explanation of it was far better than I was trying to grasp it earlier. And for whatever reason, I think I'd done a lot of Android by that point.
And just to be clear, this technology is called multiple enabled profiles because that way it turns a single lane highway into a multi-lane highway, more or less.
Nice.
Virtualization included.
That's great.
So anyway,
That's a great way to explain it. Yeah.
It took me like a couple hours to figure that out, y'all. I was really glad we talked about this. I had notes and
dedication.
everything. I was like,
That's how it is.
metaphors.
That's how it is.
Thank you.